everyone, this is P4L back from Cyber City Con and doing all those previews for you. We're going to be doing a full review of a new company, Omnigonix, and this is their first release, OG-01 Warrior Spinout. This is their version of an MP Sunstreaker, and this is the second third-party company that's doing an MP Sunstreaker, the first being Bagcube, of course, and their Sun Surge. Let's go ahead and get started with packaging and review. And I apologize for the crushed up box. I was actually given this figure just as a review copy from Toy Dojo. They've gotten a lot of questions about this figure and wanted me to do a review so that you guys can kind of get to know what you're getting into with this figure. If you haven't followed Toy Dojo on Facebook, they actually received this and we messed with it right when it came in. And we weren't very happy with the quality, and as a service to customers, or at least a heads up to their customer base, they wanted to let them know that the quality is pretty poor on this guy, and that they were providing a discount to those who still wanted to get them. So a really cool thing from Toy Dojo, obviously very loyal to their customers and wanted to give everyone a heads up. So anyway, so packaging review, obviously styled after the Masterpiece box. It has the kind of same layout of the alt mode and the robot. Even the kind of layout of everything here looks like the MP box almost to a T. Omnigonix Spinout. You got the alt mode on one side, and on the other side, just like the MP box, some warnings on the bottom, and on the back, you get some promo images. Again, very much in the style of the MP. You see that you get Spinout, a blaster, a hand attachment for his blaster gun hand thingy, and an alternate head piece or crest that you can use with the face if you want to get a different look, since Sunstreaker has had kind of different looks to his crest for throughout his kind of iterations. So that's really it for the exterior packaging. And again, I'm sorry this one's all crushed. Once you get it open, you do get the same kind of clamshell. And the presentation is actually quite nice. It looks very official, like MP. The instructions, on the other hand, are not very good at all. They're pretty awful, to be honest. But you guys have this review, so you guys don't have to worry about that. The card itself looks pretty nice. The artwork is pretty well done. And again, in the same kind of MP style layout everywhere. The card is also just kind of a thin cardboard card, just like the MPs, not a plastic one. So let's get that out of the way. The instructions they have decent pictures, just the instructions are kind of awful, and they kind of end abruptly. Like they end at this head coming forward, or this whole head assembly coming forward, and that's it. Like there's nothing else left. You gotta kind of wing a lot of it. And to be honest, when we go through this transformation, I'm not even sure if I'm doing it 100% correct, because that's how awful the instructions are. You do get Spinout, and as we said, a little handgun piece. You do have the option of using that or not. And then the gun and the crest. We'll show how to actually get that installed later. So let's go look at some of the smaller pieces first before we get too far into everything. So the gun itself looks really nice, very MP-ish in terms of style and paint and molding. It looks quite good. It doesn't have the best paint. You can see a bunch of scratches on it around here. So I think the paint in general on the silver isn't that clean on this figure, but it's not awful. It's not hateful, as somebody would say. But there's a lot of other hateful parts of this figure that we're going to reserve that hate for. And here is the crest. And you can see there's blue eye pieces in there. And I actually like this crest better than the one that comes installed default. It's pretty easy. You just have to use the Phillips screwdriver to open it up. But let's just get these out of the way and take a quick look at alt mode. The alt mode is probably the best part of this figure. It looks quite good from both sides. It doesn't have the little emblem where the Lamborghini symbol would go, but it does have some molded details, nice license plate, little painted details here. The headlights are kind of crappy in the sense that this plastic piece doesn't even sit flush, and it's just a translucent piece over top of a painted silver piece. so it looks kind of poor. There are some other painted details here, and as far as overall paint on, because a lot of this is yellow paint, it is actually, it does match quite well, and it's done and applied better than the official Lamborghinis that we've seen. Like Sideswipe was just awful. This does have that beat, and overall the paint on this alt mode looks quite good. It does have some tail bites, some design here. The wheels are probably one of the worst parts of this. You can see them kind of drooping. They do spin, but they're actually, I don't know if it's this one or the front. It might be both, but they actually aren't in the way that you expect off of like a pin. They're tabbed in, and then the inner piece spins around. And the front wheels actually sit out of the body. You can't get them in any more than that. I mean, they just stick out. The rear wheels do sit in nicely in terms of depth in the wheel well. The bottom looks pretty clean overall, which is nice. And as far as just overall feel, it feels quite nice in this mode. I can't figure out any use for the weapons in this mode. It doesn't seem to show it. I thought maybe you were supposed to jam it in here, or maybe kind of get it underneath here, but nothing really seems to work. Again, some of the paint on this figure on the silver is not that clean, but it's not horrible. Mostly back here and along the edges here. But again, by and large, it's not that bad. Now, we'll do some quick comparisons. Alright, so the only real comparison I'm going to do is with the other third-party Sunstreaker, and that is Sunsurge on the right. The colors are obviously very different, as you can see, or maybe you can't, but they are very different. This one is more of an orangish yellow, and this one's more of, I guess, a mustard yellow. I actually prefer the yellow on this more than this one. I guess this is closer to, what was it? I can't remember what that MP, oh, Tiger Track, his color than Sunsurge is. Also, Sunstreaker just looks better. The chrome looks better. He also has, the optional silver pieces, but the wheels look nicer. They are actually rubber as opposed to plastic. And while he does sort of roll, one of the wheels on mine is really tight, and the ones on the back are still kind of loose. Even after you're probably gonna have to constantly tighten them up. The back, though, he definitely wins out in the back in terms of just cleanliness. This one, people are saying it's more show accurate, I guess, and I definitely see why they would say that, but I also don't think being overly loyal to the cartoon to a fault is a good thing either. As far as the side mirrors, side doors go, this one looks more authentic to the Countach look. It doesn't have the painted yellow pieces here. And so yeah, that's really the only comparison I was going to do. I was going to do some Sideswipe, but I just didn't feel like transforming. I'm sorry, guys. It's not worth it for this review, to be perfectly frank. Alright, now that we're back after doing some comparisons, let's get into transformation. So the first thing you're going to do is come to the back, and the wheels kind of tuck down like so. Well, they're supposed to just rotate back, but they kind of droop. That's because it's part of transformation. You might be able to tighten it up. Actually, let me see. I have a screwdriver here. You should be able to tighten this up, possibly, with just a couple twists of a Phillips head screwdriver. Yeah, I mean that works. That does tighten it up. So one issue resolved there. Next thing we'll do is open this piece up, and this is probably the worst. Well, one of the worst pieces here. I want to show you just how flimsy this thing is. It's thin, but the plastic is like almost rubbery, and how, like, look how, oh my gosh, this just looks like weaker than a plastic credit card. And I'm guessing they did this as part of the design, because it does have to fit into kind of a weird narrow gap. But this is one of the pieces that you're probably going to have the most chance of breaking. So just be careful with that piece. Oops, that's not supposed to happen. Once you have that, you can kind of flip up this rear piece, and that will give you enough room to bring out the arms. All right. From here, you can kind of lift up the front of the hood and not the hood, but yeah, this part of the hood and the main windshield and everything like that. It tabs in a couple places. You should lift this up. This piece, you fold it in half and just leave it alone for now. Next thing we'll do is kind of untab both sides there, and that'll free everything up. You'll get the head. The head tucks in underneath in the cabin, very much like Bag Cubes does, and it's on this weird triple hingy thing, and this thing is awful. This is probably the other part we'll talk about in a bit. But once you have that done, you can kind of deal with the legs, because it's easier to deal with the legs. The legs you're going to go ahead and split, unpeg here, and unpeg here. Come on. And then what I like to do first is deal with the feet. You just want to pull straight down, and that it's on the sliding joint here, but you're not done. You actually need to pull a little bit more, and you'll get this black piece that slides out as well. So again, if you just pull out the toe, you'll see that it's not the same length. You have to pull it out a little bit more. Come on. And be careful, this piece unpegs so easily. I just don't get it. And it seems to be a recurring problem with the right foot, the left foot, and not so much the other. And I'm not sure why that is. It might just be this copy, but we actually saw 2 copies do this. So just be careful there. You can rotate it up and push it back, I guess, a bit. The next thing you'll do is extend the legs. The instructions make it look like it's a extending leg joint. It's actually not. It's more like P4L and everything, where you have to. It's easiest to push back on the upper part of the thigh to separate it, and then extend it out like so. This piece here will unfold and fold down or lay down. It doesn't tab in or anything like that. And then finally, you're going to rotate the door to come around like so. So repeat all that on the other side. Again, push back on the thigh and then pull it out. Straighten out this flap, close it up, and then rotate the leg down. Once you have all that done, you can kind of come up to the crotch. This crotch piece has to fold down a little bit, just a little bit, to give clearance for the head to store in the cabin. Just close that up. Alright, so from here, it gives you a lot of weird instructions, but let's just flip out the arms first. They're on a swivel here at the shoulder. The next thing we'll do is, they say to open this piece. I don't really know why. They say to open this piece, bring this down. The wheels will rotate in like so. And once that's done, you're going to bring the whole rear of the car down, and you're going to slide, you're going to slide this really thin, flexible piece right into this gap here. And it's kind of hard to do. And I think this is why that piece needs to be a little bit flexible, because you basically just got to force it in. Like that, and get it down as much as possible. You can fold these pieces up now, and there's no meaningful way to tab anything in, or it doesn't lock into place. It just push it in, and then you push it as far as it goes. That's it. Not very elegant. These pieces, I'm not really sure. You can leave them. They can fold down, so it makes me think that you're supposed to fold it down, but honestly, I'm not sure. I think they're better left straight, but you're going to basically use a double hinge to go down like that. Bring these flaps down. And this this triple hinge piece is going to end up forming the neck and everything. Let's scoot out a bit again. This hinge will rotate up to get the hood or the windshield in. Once this piece is folded, it goes into this gap here. You can see the little notch cut out. Oh, sorry, notch cut out right there. You're gonna push this into that cavity, And then here's where it gets kind of confusing. They basically just tell you to kind of wiggle this. It was on a Facebook post. It basically just wiggle this around. What I think it means is you got to get these black pieces here up as far as possible. There's some pieces that it can interfere with, like these yellow pieces. I basically just jam it as far in as possible. And then the hood is supposed to just sit flush against the chest like this. But before you do that, there's actually two little tab slots there, and there's tabs on these silver pieces. And getting this to sit in securely, because they're so shallow, is a challenge. I think that's close. And if you did this right, you're not supposed to have much of a gap here. If you did it wrong, then you're going to have more of a gap. And this neck piece, again, you just kind of push it down. I don't know if this little ridge piece right there is supposed to go in or out. But yeah, you can get it underneath those silver pieces if you'd like. I think that might be better. But again, these silver tabs don't stand very securely. So I don't know. We'll just leave it like that. If you have a better idea of how that's supposed to work, let me know. Then we're going to fold out the arms, which are the last thing. And you can see here, this piece is splitting. And that's not, and you can squeeze it back in place, but it splits all the time. You're going to open up the bottom panel and then rotate the hand up. And because these arms aren't secured, these splitting pieces on the forearm can actually get misaligned. So just be careful there. Close that up. And you can do the same thing for the other side, or you can go ahead and take this blaster piece and tab that in. And with that, here you have Spinout in robot mode. And let's go ahead and first do a quick 360. And while he doesn't look awful, he actually has a pretty clean back. He does have kind of the MP dots and hollow legs. While he doesn't look awful, and I actually like this backpack here, he just looks off to me. The overly big chest is in direct opposition to Baghu's overly small chest. But I do like the darker windows as opposed to the blue windows that Baghu does. I just don't get blue windows on MP figures. I just don't. It's just kind of odd. Let's look at his shoulders first, because they look kind of hollow here, and the way the shoulder joint hinge works, I guess it gives you extra articulation, but it would have been nicer for it to lock in place. The ball joints on the shoulders are kind of a cop-out for a figure this big, but it does, I guess, give you a good range of motion, and they're not so loose that you can't pose with it. He does have a bicep swivel, which is nice and tight actually. He does have double jointed elbows, which work well. His hands are on a swivel, and he has MP style hands. I don't know why that opened up by itself. Okay, MP style hands with a one pinned hinge at the base of all the fingers. Satisfactory. He does have the slot where the gun can go in with the MP style hand and tab. Come on, get back there. Come on. There we go, finally. So it does work quite well, and he holds it pretty well. This piece does tend to open up quite a bit, and again, the splitting is very annoying. The chest is, and the main body, just doesn't feel like anything is secured. You do have these tabs up here, which are a pain in the butt, that come undone all the time, but you tend to grab your figures by the chest and back, like directly, and it doesn't feel that solid. This piece kind of flops around. It doesn't secure into place. Nothing down here seems to secure anything in place. It would have been nice if they made use of these little tab pieces here and tabbed it into the black piece to secure the main body, but I guess that you can consider this extra articulation, I suppose. The other parts of the upper body, oh, geez, this came undone. These panels just look weird because you would think they would sit flat, but they actually sit at a upward angle, which just looks weird. And the head on this weird joint, it doesn't even have a way to secure anything. He does have a ball jointed head, but and it spins around, but it feels like you're gonna break it or pop the head off, which happens all the time. And because the neck isn't secured, you can't even make use of the ball joint all that well to give him some extra opposability. But I guess he can look quite a bit down and quite a bit up using that ball joint as well as the internal neck mechanism. I don't like how these intakes are so close together and so high. I kind of wish they were a little bit further out, but whatever. I mean, it's a stylistic thing. You do have a little hole in there if you decide to take out the windshield wiper, or you can just leave that in. I'm not even sure which. Oh, jeez. I'm not even sure which direction this is supposed to sit in. Maybe this way. Yeah, they say this is a feature. I just don't believe them. I just feel like they were lazy. But then again, they could have just molded this into the translucent plastic if they really wanted to. So maybe that is maybe it's unfair for me to say it's not a actual designed feature. It's not a bug, it's a feature. The legs go up and back on that pin joint, again very MP-ish, but it's very weak. I mean, the leg, it doesn't have any die cast, and the plastic feels okay, but it's light enough where this should not be happening. It works kind of okay on this side, maybe. Nope, that side's even worse. And then the leg joints are very odd. So you would think it'd just be a smooth transition forward and back, but there's actually kind of like a notch or a detent that makes it want to go a little bit forward and a little bit back. Like it kind of forces itself into different positions. So yeah, it kicks itself in there. Watch it as it go forward. It kicks itself into this position, kind of locks. It's just very odd. He does have double jointed knees, which give him a good range of motion there, which is good. His feet, because of these sliding joint kind of thingies, he does have a great range of motion. He can do crazy acrobatic stuff there. He can slide forward and back. It's just not that stable. Like, it's kind of hard to get him stabilized because those joints aren't tight. The ankle joints aren't that tight. He does have an ankle tilt though. Like it's actually kind of like a shin tilt, which is kind of odd. And this piece, I don't know what's wrong with. I feel like it must have broken or something. No, that piece is like that too. But this one sticks up way more. I have no idea why. He does have those hip skirts that get out of the way, and he does have a thigh swivel, which I always tend to forget. So I'm trying to remember to do that. Again, the biggest thing here is like the backpack doesn't seem to have any meaningful tabbing mechanism. I think this is right, but I could be completely wrong. Who knows? And this neck panel piece just doesn't want to tab in. I found the bag cube one very frustrating as well, but not nearly as frustrating as this. And once you got the bag cube one secured, it was fairly secure. So yeah, speaking of bag cube, let's go ahead and bring him back out. Here's Sun Surge. And as you can see, like I was saying before, the design is very different. He's much more yellow. Kind of a mustardy yellow, I guess. I don't know. They're both kind of yellowish. But the big thing for me is that the chest is very small here and very big there. The legs look a bit cleaner on this figure than this one. But this one is way more posable and secure overall. I do like the head sculpt better on this one, even though it's a little thin. But I like the intakes and mostly everything about the bag cube a bit more. While I don't love the bag cube figure, I think it does do a bit of a better job. The backpack is kind of a mess here, so you're getting a lot of trade-offs. The lower legs are pretty messy here with Sideswipe. He is a little bit taller, but not by a lot. So I think it does scale well. Plastic quality, aside from this piece here, most of it feels okay. I think the plastic quality is actually decent. It's not the best, but it's not awful. These pieces here kind of feel a little weak because they're not secured, but the leg feels pretty solid overall. Like I don't have any complaints about that. The neck joint feels flimsy like this, and it doesn't secure into place. But everything else feels actually okay in terms of quality of plastic. I don't consider it like awful plastic. Just this part here is probably the worst, and the neck piece, which feels super flimsy. I would consider that like really flimsy, like Ollie style plastic. Oh, actually, we'll do the head installation real quick. So go ahead and flip this around. Unscrew this. So once you've unscrewed all this, the front and back pieces will split apart. And you take the face off here. You get the new front face. So once you install this, make sure you get the eyes into the slot. And it's honestly more of a challenge than I would like. It's a tight fit though, which is, I guess, a positive thing. Get it on the ball joint if you can, without breaking anything. It's actually probably easier to get it on the ball joint when you sandwich it in, but I found the eyes are really tight and it's kind of hard to do that. So I'm not going to put the screw back on because it works fine this way, but you get the idea. And I like this head sculpt better than the other ones. Let's zoom in real quick. So this head sculpt I like a bit better than, at least the crest wise. I think it looks better. I like the angles. You will see that the nose here is kind of damaged, and that's because when we get back into alt mode, getting the head into the crotch area is really difficult. Honestly, it's quite odd how it works, and it ends up causing interference here. You might damage your nose paint, and since it's a silver paint, it's really noticeable because underneath it's like gray or black plastic. So just be careful when you do that. I'll try to show you as the easiest way to get it all transformed and to get the head in securely, so hopefully you don't damage your figure too much. Alright, so let's get this guy transformed into alt mode. Let's just get rid of this first. Flipping the other fist. Close everything up. You can actually fold these elbows up using double jointed elbows for now, or the arms up using double jointed elbows. Go ahead and untab the chest if it hasn't done so by itself already at some point. Pull this out. Just kind of straighten this out for now, but you don't have to really bother. Get this soft black piece out just by pulling it, I suppose. You can open up these pieces. What you need to do before you go really too far is you need to get this head out and underneath this yellow piece here in the chest. And you just need to get it somewhere around here. Okay, just for now. Then you want to rotate these arms in, like so. And you want to get them scooted in right up against this other black piece. And that's really important for transformation. Like, it needs to sit back. So when you collapse using these double hinges back here, you'll get these situated correctly, and you'll have these hinged pieces sit right in that gap. The wheels will rotate out if they haven't done so already, and then this entire piece will come and kind of tab into place eventually. You can kind of do that now, but you may have to undo it a little bit later. If you didn't fold up these silver pieces, go ahead and fold it up next to the intakes and just get this as far down as possible for now. Dealing with the legs, actually let me lift this up just a little bit so you can see me dealing with the legs. The first thing I like to do is go ahead and fold up these thigh covers. Get the doors swung back around the right orientation. Go ahead and collapse the toes. And remember, there's 2 stages of collapsing. You have to make sure you collapse this black piece. I'll do that first so you can see that here. Collapse that first and then slide on the toe joint to get that down. And if you do that correctly, they'll tab into the legs. Alright. So the challenging part here is getting the head to sit properly with the right amount of clearance. And I found the easiest way to do this is to actually get the head, again, making sure that these intakes are folded as far as possible to get as much clearance as possible on the head. I find that if you lift these pieces up just a little bit, don't have them lying flat, lift them up when you tab everything together, that works the best. So let's go ahead and come back here first and get the knees all the way in. You have to collapse them like that and then push on the upper part of the thigh, the back of the thigh, to get everything in. So once you have that done, you want to come to the front and get the crotch piece undone like that. You can't pull it out too far or else you can't get the legs in. So just pull it out just a little bit, tab the 2 legs together, and then here, keep these thigh pieces up as much as possible. Now try to tab everything in. So if you have the head angled downward with the crest pieces underneath these thigh pieces like so, angled downward like this, you should be able to get this piece kind of tabbed in here. And then when, this is also the important part, pushing this down, it's going to bend the way it wants, but you actually want to make sure that this hinge pushes backwards and folds in like that. That will allow everything to kind of come into place. And there we have, hopefully, there we go. There we have Spinout back in alt mode. So final thoughts. This guy isn't good. I guess he's not. He's pretty bad. Just some of the minor things that we've talked about. While the plastic overall isn't terrible, honestly, some of the pieces are terrifyingly bad. Like this just is awful. The neck piece is awful. The piece that tabs into the chest, these flaps here are awful. The transformation's frustrating in getting the head back and the upper body. It's just a really not solid figure in robot mode. But for alt mode, it does actually look quite good. I think the alt mode looks pretty good. It would have been nice to have chrome instead of silver, but maybe you don't like chrome, which would work out for you. So yeah, this is very much deserving of the massive discount that Toy Dojo is giving. I think they're giving it basically at cost. So if you guys really still want it after watching this video, feel free to do so, but you have been warned in spade, okay? Bobby Skullface is also getting a copy of this sent to him by Toy Dojo because I think it will just be funny. He probably will need to use my instructions like he's done before to get this guy all transformed. Speaking of Bobby Skullface, you know, like the dude, he messaged me quite a bit asking me to come over to his place in kind of a creepy manner. I mean, I guess no more creepy than you would expect from a guy who wears a skull face mask all the time. But let's just give him a pass. He says I'm quite flaky, and to be honest, I am pretty flaky. I think I've made a ton of videos where I'm like, oh, I'll do this review next, or I'll do this figure next, and I just never do it. Hopefully you guys don't notice that too much. So I'll definitely admit to that. But come on, I mean, he's asked me out to come to his house in the woods where probably a lot of scary things could happen to me. But yeah, I'm gonna try to make it out to Skullfest, to be perfectly honest, as long as, you know, my wife and kids let me, and that I have a 911 on speed dial. But hopefully you guys will see me there. But I'm tired of all these Skullfest, hashtag Skullfest things on my Facebook page and my YouTube page. Why don't you guys go over to Bobby Skullface's, you know, YouTube page and Facebook page or Friendster page or whatever he's still on, and go ahead and put like hashtag poopy skull face for calling me out like that. You know, it's on. All right. Enjoy the instructions that you get with your spin out. All right, Bobby. Anyways, that's all. Anyway, if you guys have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. If you like the video, please give it a like, share, subscribe. And that's all for today, folks. Hope you have a good one.